I made it to the finals of the Modern Challenge on the 20th of October, playing my build of 4-color Keruga Omnath. This video will show gameplay from round 5 of that challenge, and I will be giving my commentary of the gameplay for this round. Hope you enjoy the video. Game 1, I'm on the draw. Opponent reveals Giganta the Wellspring as their companion, and I think I keep a hand that covers most Giganta the Wellspring decks, although it's not the best. I have a Solitude as removal, but I have to pitch that. Find out this deck is Mardu Energy, the one my opponent is playing. And I shock in the Howler Fountain because I anticipate a Bowmasters, and I really don't want them gaining 2 energy all of a sudden. So I want to use this Leyline Binding, casting it off the Stomping Ground and Howler Fountain on the God of Souls. Because say they even play another God of Souls and get that energy off, and then I preemptively remove the God of Souls after the Bowmasters have come down, they've already got like 2 energy, and that's still not good because then they can start buffing other stuff if they have another creature they can play. And as you can see, it was important in the end because the Amp Raptor could have gotten something off its flip, and it did not. The Flage was exiled. I removed the Bowmasters and the token, and then I use that Force of Vigor to conserve some life total, setting free my Leyline Binding, but only after my opponent has used the energy. So this one's pretty straightforward. Place a Veil to set up the next turn because I have nothing else to play. And I put that fetch into the graveyard because this can definitely do better. Especially with an active Ocelot Pride Gather Souls going for my opponent. Add the Keruga to hand. Golem Bombardment. That's going to present some problems later on. And Surveil again, just to set up my draws. Try and find something good. Kept a Fairy on top. I'm drawing 2 cards here, but I could be drawing worse stuff than a Teferi, let's say that. I think I make a misplay here because I played the Teferi instead of holding up the Leyline Binding, which would have been way better. I think opponent has exactly enough to kill me with the extra tokens generated from the Ocelot Pride, using the Golden Bombardment and the damage from Majani. So yeah, that misplay pretty much cost me the game. Could have really gotten them there when they were tapped out. And I lose this game. And yeah, essentially that was the only misplay made that game, but that was pretty much the difference between losing and winning the game, because this position wasn't actually that bad. Let's say I didn't make a misplay, say I get this with the Leyline Binding and nothing else happens to this Leyline Binding. Would have been alright, the Flage would have got going, because I drew it off the Teferi, but I would have drawn it on the following turn. Or actually I would have had the Teferi as well. So I could have started working through their board. But that misplay ended up losing me game 1. On to game 2. Round 5, game 2. I'm on the plate. No changes in the sideboarding plan. For Mardu Energy, same as round 2. So just one Teferi out for one Cosmic Rebirth. Kept an okay hand. I don't think they're running Ragavan, so that's why I thought this hand was okay to keep. And using the Windswept Heath and Lush Portico first, because I already have the Steam Vents in hand. And on this turn, I flash in the Endurance, because I suspect this is going to be a damage race. They've already played 2 Thoughtseizes already, which is quite painful. So I want to get the attacks in. And the shuffle does make my opponent 2 cards further away from a Flage Escape overall. So I still got a fair bit amount of shuffling from the graveyard in this play. Seems opponent kept a very discard heavy hand. And I think I just go ahead and Solitude token here. I just want to get rid of this Ajani. Not really interested in letting this stay alive for longer. Yeah, so opponent has Galvanic Discharge. I'm not sure if this was a misclick. I think this was probably a misclick. At the time, I thought, okay, they're gonna play a big Amp Raptor turn, but no, it turns out it was just a misclick, I think, because they scoop after this play. I think they knew the Solitude in hand, not sure. But it seemed like they had nothing going on, kept a discard heavy hand, and I won the game on just some very basic beatdowns. On to game 3. Game 3, I'm on a draw again. And yeah, no changes to the sideboarding. So it's all the same. Keep a decent hand, plenty of removal. Flage is a value engine for somewhere down the line. And opponent gets a Ocelot Pride from the Amp Raptor, which lines up very nicely with this Fire Ice. Keep the land on top from the Surveil. I just want to get my mana together. Preferably I'd hard cast these Solitudes, so getting to the 5th mana would be nice. But Flage here is also really nice, curves very nicely from the removal with the Fire Ice. Opponent takes Leyline Binding with their Thoughtseize, so I suspect they have a 1-ring down the line somewhere. I get to escape the Flage on this turn. So starting to accrue those pluses over the course of several turns here. Goblin Bombardment presents a potential problem down the line. So I decide I'm just going to keep that board clear in case I do have an Ajani. So despite the Goblin Bombardment preventing me from getting life off the Flage triggers when I target the tokens, think it's worth it just to make sure that the game state is as minimal as possible on my opponent's side. To veil away a Flage, which is super nice. It's like drawing a card, in a way. Opponent decides to flash in the Bowmasters after the Flage trigger, which makes sense. I choose to counter the trigger of the Bowmasters with the Chance Die Bind. I'm not sure if this was correct, but my reasoning was that I have this Cosmic Rebirth in hand, so it's likely that the Chance Die Binder dies. So I could buy it back again and try and hit something else. Instead I use the Cosmic Rebirth on the Amp Raptor. Just following from last game, I just want to beat my opponent down. Make sure that they're always on the back foot when it comes to life total. And I have 2 Solitudes, so I can keep a Flage in check. So I'm unsure why opponent decides to let me have the Flage back, because the only thing that makes sense to me is that they have another Static Prison. I Solitude the Tisha's Tidebinder because I don't have Cosmic Rebirth anymore, so there's no chance of buying it back, and I'm on the beatdown plan, so I want to prevent as much life gain from my opponent as much as possible. So, opponent decides to play the Ring instead of Flage, which makes sense. There's lots of ways I could cheese out this game. For example, if I have removal on the Flage, and then cast my own Flage, gets into a very low life total, and then the Ring isn't very usable anymore. The opponent declines to fetch the Godless Shrine to get the Flage, which again makes sense. I see 1 Fire Ice, trying to play around the second. That would hit their life total for game if they did Fetch Shock. They do get the Flage now though, and I have the Solitude. Interesting, they decline to gain the life. So I get to keep them at a very low life total here because of that decision they made. And I have the Dead Gun. Dead Gun will bounce the Flage if the opponent tries to cast it in the graveyard. Of course they can still kill my Flage here, I think. They just have to play another creature. Or even play the Flage from hand if they have a land that doesn't shock them or hurt them in any way. So I just decide to play the Flage, aim it at face. Don't think they have any way to counter the Ring trigger the next turn. And I think it's safe to develop my board. I play the Omnath. Just hold the fetch here in case I draw another one. I want to be able to present the kill using Omnath's 4 life, 4 damage trigger. Sorry, not 4 life, 4 damage trigger. But opponent dies to the ring anyway. And yeah, so a couple of decisions there where I decided to turn it into a beatdown game. Ended up being really important, getting my opponent to a low life total and giving me the win. Another 2-1 win.